हेलो एंड वेलकम टू पेपर टी टॉक्स। आज हम इस टॉक्स में एक ऐसी शख्सियत को लेके आए हैं जो सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान के पेपर इंडस्ट्री में ही नाम नहीं बल्कि ग्लोबल स्केल पे एक अच्छा नाम है। मिस्टर वरुण जैन सर, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका इस
थैंक यू।
पॉडकास्ट में।
थैंक यू
तो
अरविंद।
जैसा आपको मैंने बताया था, पेपर टी टॉक्स में हम आपके बारे में जानने के अलावा हम आपका व्यूज़ इस इंडस्ट्री का और इस जो नए सिनेरियो टेक्नोलॉजिकल एनवायरनमेंट इन सब के बारे में आपके व्यूज जानना चाहेंगे। तो सर थोड़ा बताइए कि आप आईआईटी रुड़की और उसके बाद एशिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट मनीला और उसके बाद चाइना टू इंडिया, करेंटली वेरी फैसिनेटिंग रोल विद वॉलमेट। तो सर इस पूरी जर्नी के बारे में हमें थोड़ा सा बताइए, लोग जानना चाहेंगे आपके बारे में।
So again, thanks Arvi for this talk. And it is not very normal that we talk about the whole journey sometimes. So I was born in Saranpur, which was called as Paper City. At one stage of time, we had engineering college there from IIT. We had research institute, CPPRI, and we had Star Paper Mill. So that is the only place which combines all these three into in one city. But I will not claim that it was my childhood dream. It was never. I was not even knowing about it. So it happened so that I was one of the last rankers in Roorkee entrance examination, and I got only this branch. And so when I joined Roorkee, the first objective was that after first year I'll get my branch changed. But after joining, I realized that this is the only institute in whole Asia which is providing pulp and paper engineering, and hence getting a job should not be a difficult task. Because that those days that used to be the first priority. And then there was scholarship also being offered in the college, so it became a relaxed kind of option, and I continued with that. So we were about 15 people in the batch, and I prefer to stay in this industry for the same reason. The instinct was telling me that continue with this and you don't have to run for job, and I think that is true in a sense. Then I was lucky enough that at the time of graduation, Sinarmas came into India. That was the first foreign investment in India with 100% equity,
जी।
and I could get to work with key leaders of paper industry from Mr. Rajiv Vadera to Dr. Raina and Mr. Kaul and multiple other people. They were all cream of paper industry who joined that project, and they were like kind of a passionate team of leaders. So I could also get some of these attributes from them at the very early stage of my career, and probably that helped.
So that point of time the company was Sinarmas.
Sinarmas. So it was a greenfield project. I had three options after my graduation: Balarpur, ITC, and Sinarmas. But Pune was always considered to be better city, so we thought let's go to Pune. So our decision making criteria, what I'm trying to say, used to be much more simpler than what we probably consider today. So though first was just to have a job security, and second was city, and third was that maybe we'll have a good weather around. So the journey continued, and we were not knowing that whom are we are going to work with, but they came out to be the, like I said, best leaders in this sector, and that's how we learned. These were the people who never bothered about the age or experience of the person, but they just looked at the hard work and they kept on giving us responsibilities. So with the engineering mindset, I think it was easy to establish the analytical skills, which help in getting more and more responsibility. The only thing where I had to little bit prove myself little early was administrative skills. I was 23 years old when I was given the charge of the whole production,
Oh,
and
23 is quite young age.
so that was a time when that was the only thing which in my boss mind, that will you be able to handle people or manpower, because paper industry used to be considered with unions and other things. I said that yes, I can manage, and it went well. I mean, I would not say that I could do it all alone. My boss supported me quite well for 4 or 5 months, and I used to sleep in the mill. And but I always used to. But he told me a few things. He said that you have to always make sure that your people are with you. So some of these teachings remained in mind, and I always ensured that the people well-being is taken care of. I used to run 50% of the time for their personal work myself, whether their insurance, family issues, any other issues, and 50% for the work which I used to do in the night, not in the day. So that helped me in building a good team. And since my bosses were, like I said, were quite good in their own work, so they were not insecure. I never felt insecure. So no insecurity means no politics. You would try to generally do the things without any
Absolutely.
fear of failure. And then I was chosen as one of the high potential person in the company when it was taken over by Balarpur. So I was sent for MBA. Out of 1,500 people, 8 people were sent for MBA.
So how
That's
much time after you joined the company was taken over by built Balarpur?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years. So it was 6 years of a lot of innovation, creativity, because we had to turn around a company from which was making 100 crores loss per year to a profit-making company. So that's where we learned that that machine does not decide the product you want to make. It is people ultimately, and and how much can you try with basic knowledge. No, nothing rocket science. It's all basics, right from your pulp to the end, and that helped. We made a single layer artboard first time on a uncoated paper machine. We used to do double the coat weights of the design. So we went against all the design parameters of the machine and the whole setup, and that turned the whole thing around in 3 4 years time. But the company also had the financial power to sustain that. So combine that, and then Balarpur took it over. Then it became more of a managerial kind of a thing, and I was lucky to again have a, a good performance during those days also. But then at the age of 27, one would think whether you want to become a politician or you want to become a technocrat. So I decided to remain a technocrat, and that's how I went to China. With
China, the
China,
same group, Sinarmas.
same synonymous group, and China was growing that decade. So I thought that let me try going to China while my family was not very happy about it, and China was not a very favorite destination those days. And coming from Jain family, it was like कि वहाँ पे what will you eat?
Food and
So
living.
my mother was very concerned कि ये क्या खाएगा वहाँ पर. But the China happened. I was part of a few large, big, significant projects, production, manufacturing, then global sales and marketing head for APP, traveled across 80 countries, and then finally family priorities again became important. So came back to India for the education of the kids, and then had some work with recycled fiber mills, consulting, equipment selling. It's while it looks little random sometimes, but from my perspective it was always planned,
Wow.
because I never wanted to become a great production head or great marketing head. I always wanted to become a good professional for pulp and paper industry. And professional means that who has a business acumen around this sector, and when you don't have your own business, you can only learn it by working with different companies. So that's why I was never hesitant to make a change, however bad or inappropriate it looked for many others. That why is this guy again making a change when everything is going good? But then when
But 18 year in China, I think you worked quite long for APP.
yeah,
So,
APP
so
was
almost almost 2 decades, closer to 2 decades. So it has quite fascinating. And how it shaped your global perspective towards the market, the paper market or paper industry, being in China.
so uh, I mean, great company first of all, and for two reasons. The leader is amazing. I mean, Mr. Vijaya himself, one of the great personalities, I would say. Uh, Nobody can match his vision, I would say, whether it is in terms of technology or scale or market reach, or HR or anything. He's just amazing. He would challenge the people to the limit, and sometimes beyond the limit also. So that's what I learned, that you, first of all, when you are thinking, you need to think as a global aspect, and then how do you implement it locally, and then how do you motivate people or build a team around to make it work. So nothing can match that experience.
Great, great. So, sir, over the years, you have seen paper industry evolve. So that was the 2000 was the decade of China, when China manufacturing evolved to the globe, or a lot of export had happened from China. China became Asia Pulp and Paper become world number one company that point of time. So आपने ऐसे कौन से सिग्निफिकेंट चेंजेस नोटिस किए जो जो पल्प एंड पेपर इंडस्ट्री में तब थे और आज डिफरेंट है?
If you look at again from a very global perspective, we can say that one shift which has happened is that it used to be 60-70% writing and printing, and now it is 70 to 80% packaging. So there has been a shift in the way paper has been used itself.
बट टेक्नोलॉजी सेल्स प्रोसेस या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेसेस में क्या फर्क है?
The technology evolution depends on the suppliers, and there used to be 3-4 good companies like Foyth, Valmet, and Beloit. So we had seen the downfall of Beloit for some reasons, but Foyth and Valmet continue to be there, and these companies primarily work continuously on reducing the resource consumption, how to improve the yield in the pulping process, how to reduce the water consumption in the pulp, in the whole process, how to reduce the effluent load. So more and more technologies are driven from these environmental aspects, right? And though, and one can say that these are natural changes to happen. But while having worked with companies like Walmart, I realized that it is not only a natural change, but it also is a wish and the R&D spend which companies like Walmart or Ford does to make this happen. So those are the main changes I would say. Otherwise, it's such a large capex oriented sector. You can't have new technology coming every year.
True.
So technology, the other factor which drives the change, or we have seen in the manufacturing process or technology, is due to scale. Uh, when I went to China 2004, that was the first machine of 3,000 tons per day. So and from a country which was making 250 or 300 tons per day, going to a country where I was, I mean 3,000 tons per day.
That was in 2004.
2004.
So India even in 2024 doesn't have a machine which can manufacture more than 1,000 ton a day.
So there could be multiple again reasons for it. It is not only because of the country's specific sector, but ease of getting finances. Ease, the support from the government, and then infrastructure itself, political stability. There are multiple factors which goes around it. And outside India, paper industry has been one of the priority sectors. India, somehow it is coming up now. I think I only during last 5 or 6 years I hear our government also mentioning paper in a positive way, replace plastic with paper, and even import substitution, which was not there previously. Previously, it was considered to be an industry which is probably causing pollution, which is not correct.
Today we are relating paper to the sustainability.
Sustainability.
Earlier paper was a pollution causing industry. It was perceived like this.
Correct. So that is so it's more of a perception change which is happening in India, and it is good for the sector. And the other myth which we need to probably break is that paper industry consumes trees. I mean, it is again not correct. Paper industry is the only industry which keeps on growing trees, not cutting the tree.
From human angle, you have worked, sir, as a professional. You have worked with Indian companies. You have worked with currently you are with the European company, and you have worked with Chinese company. So work culture to the performance orientation to remuneration, end of the day. So what has given you maximum satisfaction end of the day, and how you compare between all three different cultural you can say, I would say it's not cultural, but it's a different scenario or different ecosystem all three zone has got, whether Chinese, Europeans and Indian, they have a different style of working, different style of paying.
I'll put it slightly differently that every country or continent has something to give. You need to learn from everyone to be to understand, what they are thinking. In China, the thought process is very different. It is uh, like you're mentioning, it was more driven through scale, commodity, and with some bit of a discipline around it. European, it is more strategic. Inputs. Americans have a different way of working. Indians have different way of thinking and working, and everybody does it based on the resources they have got. It's nothing to do with the nationality, but it is the availability of the resources, and that resources can be defined in a multiple aspects, which drives the business models. So otherwise, when it comes to working, when you work with, I worked with so many nationalities and all, it's same. I
So where you
don't.
enjoyed the most, sir?
I enjoyed everywhere. I enjoyed everywhere. If I don't enjoy, then I don't work there.
वो फिर भी कुछ ना कुछ तो कंपेयर, मतलब आई जस्ट, हमारे लोग जानना चाहेंगे जो आपको जानते हैं कि तीन डिफरेंट कॉन्टिनेंट्स में काम किया है, और लोग यूरोपियन कंपनीज, अमेरिकन कंपनीज को बेस्ट मानते थे या कुछ अभी भी मानते हैं। चाइनीज की अपनी अलग स्ट्रेंथ है, इंडिया में अपना, क्योंकि अपना घर है, हम इंडियन, बीइंग इंडियन, हम यहाँ ज़्यादा कंफर्ट फील करते हैं। बट यू एज ए इंडिविजुअल सर, आपको सबसे ज़्यादा मजा किस किस जगह काम करके आया?
So, I think we all as professionals enjoy working in a situation where you have freedom to work, right? You have reasonable growth based on the performance you have. You have a transparent way of looking at things. Learning is also there, and of course, remuneration is also an important aspect. And my belief is that every company gives it. It's a matter of establishing trust. Now, some cultures it is difficult, some cultures it is easy, some cultures it might not be required, or some cultures it might not get developed at all. And so, I would say that the most difficult country where you can work on trust basis is India. India, we have more cutthroat competition as compared to any other place. If you work with whether Europeans, Americans, or Chinese, or Japanese, or anyone, once you establish trust, uh, it's all fine. But here you have to do that every day.
अपने क्रेडेंशियल रोज प्रूव करने हैं।
अपने प्रोजेक्ट रोज प्रूव करने हैं, and still you will have people who would. So discipline is one thing which I think is important, and every other continent has some sort of discipline, whether through processes or whether as a culture. So we as country do need to work on that part.
सर, हमारे कुछ लिसनर्स को आप बताना चाहें जो आपके फुट स्टेप्स को फॉलो भी करना चाहते हैं और आपको एक रोल मॉडल की तरफ देखते हैं, उनके लिए आप अपने एक्सपीरियंस से उनके लिए क्या मैसेज देना चाहेंगे, उनको क्या बताना चाहेंगे?
So maybe the first message is that don't follow anybody's footsteps. Follow your instincts. Do whatever you think is right and what you like with very simple decision making criteria. If it works well for your company, if it works well for your people, or if it works well for your family, then it's a clear go. So if it doesn't work well for anyone, then don't do it.
इसके अलावा सर, अभी पेपर इंडस्ट्री में वी आर टॉकिंग एवरी डे अबाउट सस्टेनेबिलिटी, वी आर टॉकिंग मोर अबाउट द प्लानट, वी आर टॉकिंग मोर अबाउट द ग्रीन. We have all kind of raw material available to, whether it's a agro, it's a wood pulp, or it's a recycled. So where do you see the trend is going, and which is going to be the dominating segment for the manufacturing?
Raw material uh, and sustainability. I think sustainability is a much bigger word as compared to how do we make paper with which raw material. Sustainability probably and that also changes from area to area, region to region, right? If we, let's say, look at countries like Indonesia or Latin America, the natural resource available there is wood, right? So it will be not right to think that that country can survive on some other industry other than the industry which uses this raw material, right? While many companies or many organizations claim that it is not sustainable, it is not a good sustainable practice, but then what do you expect these people to do? Ultimately, if the resources, if your industry is not in line with the resources you have, then you can't have a sustainable business basically. So here also I feel that based on the region, based on the location, sustainability will have a different meaning. If a place is rich in agro resources and there is nothing else to do with those agro resources, then better make paper out of it. Same is with the wood also. And wood, we do the plantations, correct? Even with the barren land should be also considered to be given to the private investors, so that they can grow or make use of those barren lands. So, and same port-based industries. Port-based can have a very different meaning on the sustainability side. So it is a responsible business growth, which is more important than just having the same rule for everyone.
वेरी वेल सर। एक इंसाइट और मैं जानना चाहूँगा आपसे कि अभी रॉ मटेरियल पे ही वापस आते हैं कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी इज़ नॉट ड्रिवन फ्रॉम व्हाट रॉ मटेरियल दे आर यूजिंग, ऑब्वियसली यस। वो मिल या मैन्युफैक्चर क्या प्रैक्टिसेस को अडॉप्ट करता है और वो इकोसिस्टम को किस तरह से यूटिलाइज करता है वो डिसाइड करेगा। पर अभी इंडिया में मोस्ट ऑफ द मिल्स आर यूजिंग रिसाइकल्ड रॉ मटेरियल और एग्रो। वुड इज़ नॉट मच अवेलेबल हेयर इन इंडिया। ग्लोबली ऑल्सो काफ़ी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स अमेरिका में, यूरोप में रिसाइकल्ड यूज़ करने के लिए मशीनें आ गई हैं। पीपल हैव कन्वर्टेड देयर मशीनरी टू रिसाइकल्ड रॉ मटेरियल। So is it because of non-availability of wood? Yeah, this is the compulsion to show themselves as a sustainable raw material usage.
No, this is not because of the wood or non-wood availability. It is about the requirement of certain products. So let's say packaging, we say that it is primary, secondary, and tertiary packaging, right? And tertiary packaging is basically brown, which is mostly recycled fiber driven, and the secondary also, because the strength requirement of these three are different, and that is what is defining the raw material usage, because you don't want to pay, or you want to pay a certain amount for tertiary packaging or secondary or primary packaging. So based on those requirements of the strength and the other parameters, you are defining your raw material requirement. And it is a fact that the tertiary packaging is 60-70% of the total packaging requirement, right? So now how do we either, if we make it all with wood, which America has been doing it 70-80% of their production, or maybe more than that with wood, that probably would have an impact on your prices and also the GSM in a way. But in the countries where softwood or let's say the wood is generally less available, recycled works very well.
Similar kind of product could be made.
Yeah, yeah. Similar kind, or let's say for the similar application it can be made.
Similar application could be made. Sir, Walmart is recognized as a global leader or one of the top technology and machinery and automation company. अभी क्या नए ट्रेंड्स और क्या नई इनोवेशंस लेके आए हैं वॉलमेट जो सस्टेनेबिलिटी को और आगे बढ़ाएगी या मैन्युफैक्चरर की एफिशिएंसी को और इंक्रीज करेगी विदाउट putting much more strain over the resources?
Valmet has been spending a huge sum of money on R&D for years, and maybe close to 80 to 100 million euros per annum. And that has been quite helpful in, and more toward use sustainable resources or recycling mechanism or technology. So we had been participating as a company in textile recycling, for example, used clothes, recycling to make pulp out of it. We had been participating into converting this agri residues into 2G ethanol. We had been participating, or let's say we are the only company who knows the use of each and every type of raw material, and getting different output with that. We have worked heavily on this lignin usage to make not I mean, not only to burn it into recovery boiler, but also to make other products out of it. On the energy side, we are the leaders in waste to energy boilers. The capacities are higher than what we see in India market, but generally globally we are one of the great. I mean, we are the leaders in that. On the pulp making and paper making side, our equipments have lowest energy consumption and lowest water consumption, and therefore the lowest effluent generation capabilities. So, so Walmart has been doing quite well in right from wood handling to the end, and the only supplier to give the whole concept.
सर आप तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी खुद मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की है. यू हैव वर्कड एज ए मार्केटिंग पर्सन एज वेल एंड यू हैव वर्कड एज ए CEO. So all different kind of role in general management to the department is specific, whether into commercial, whether into production, you worked everywhere. Now हमारे लोग सुनना चाहेंगे, most of the people would be interested कि what makes a great salesperson?
What makes?
एक सेल्स पर्सन, अच्छे सेल्स पर्सन की क्या निशानी है, मतलब who is considered a great sales person?
Who is able to have a win-win situation with the customer, who is transparent towards his customer, and who is able to again generate that trust in the relationship is a good salesperson.
And what makes a great leader?
There, so leadership again can have a multiple factors to it, but if, my feeling is that if a leader is able to create a team of professionals around him, can be considered to be a good leader. If a person is able to drive a company is working for towards uh, higher market share or better profitability or even improving the number of stakeholders around, so can be considered to be a good leader. So principally a person who is able to see end to end of the value chain and take everybody together is a good leader in my view.
So who is more successful? Like we talk about most of the leaders who are very people oriented. But there are few leaders which are not. They are very tough taskmasters. There are two different approaches to take people along, get the success, or to make people achieve success being a taskmaster. Which one, the philosophy or the kind of leadership you think is best suitable for Indian environment?
If you look, I mean, because everybody will have a different perception to it.
We have
Right.
people in the industry which everybody knows that all kind of leaders we can see on the top.
Yeah. So there are, I think, managerial capabilities and leadership capabilities are totally different. You can manage well by being a taskmaster. You can manage well without being a good taskmaster. But like I said, leadership is something else. Leadership is when you are able to take, whether it is all the stakeholders, to next level of their performance, their output, their caliber, and they also learn more, and you are able to give back to industry, give back to society in some or the other way. Like for example, I would say, if I go back to APP, Mr. Vijaya himself, uh, he demonstrated his leadership by taking certain decisions which probably were not looking right to the people, but time was, so he had a vision, right? So vision, manager might not have a vision, but leader must have a vision about the whole value chain again, like I said, and then see that the people are more or less driving towards it.
लोगों को मोटिवेट कैसे करें ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? how to motivate the team?
So you will always have two type of people maybe, or maybe more types, but there will be at least 5% people who, or 10% people who are genuinely internally motivated, right? Those are the people who can be your James Bonds, who are actually delivering the whole thing. And then you will have next level of people who probably would need guidance or hand holding to be motivated, you know. And but the motivational factor from person to person changes, and you need to find out the key people in the organization who should be motivated, right? Because if I mean, you as individual, you can't drive the whole, or you can't yourself keep 1,000 people or 2,000, maybe 50,000 people motivated yourself. But you need to keep on identifying the people who
Key
can have a,
pillars.
yeah, key pillars, to who have the similar urge to motivate people. Of course, the common factor, two three common factors which keeps the majority of people motivated is, of course, one is their remuneration uh, practices, quality oriented work, and of course the performance evaluation methodology. And simpler these are, you'll have people more motivated. And there will be some set of people whom you can't motivate at all,
वो
whatever
अंदर
you
से
do.
उनके उनके होता ही नहीं है, वो बस
हाँ.
में पैसेंजर की तरह बैठे हैं.
So whatever you do, and sometimes, unfortunately, in organizations, opinion of those people also create an impact, and the leaders little bit get they take a step back, thinking that those are the people they need to be taken care of also. But I think if you take care of other people, that should be good. Create policies which are simpler, again, in nature, not very complicated. So,
Very well, sir. Good, insightful. Sir, what is your vision and views about Indian pulp and paper industry, where it is heading towards? And what do you think is the future of Indian paper industry, whether it's adapting to the new technology or where we would be competing with the global players in the coming years?
so Indian paper industry is quite on a growth path, I would say. And we can see good growth in last, the capacity which have come up, it's are demonstrating itself that the growth has been fantastic. And next 10-20 years, again, the or maybe more, where paper is something which keeps on finding different applications, and you keep on growing along with that. So I do not see that the growth is going to stop at any moment of time. Technology part, I mean, some of the segments are at par with the global technologies. Some segments are a little bit not on track, but that's principally because of the higher cost of financing, then the scale itself, and the final product price itself. So we need, so once the segment becomes more consolidated or mature, that allows people to bring in new technologies and to spend even more. And we have seen that happening in India on packaging side also, and writing, printing, and even specialty also. So brown segment is still one where the penetration is little less for the same factors which I was just highlighting. But India needs, as compared to any other continent, India rather needs technology more than anybody else, because we do not have the luxury of strong fiber. We have weaker fiber as compared to any other continent, and therefore technology is the only thing which can make our product at par with others. So it's a need, not a want. The affordability part changes from company to company, but the scale, the pace at which the scale is changing now. Now if you see, most of the manufacturers have come to a level of scale where they are able to take the next leap of investment, and focused on key technologies, good technologies. So I think it is going to be to come. India is the country to look forward to for next 20 years at least.
Wow. So that's reflect the economy vision as well. So economy is growing. So paper industry also has got good future ahead of us.
Excellent future.
Fantastic to know, sir. और थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर दिस इंसाइटफुल डिस्कशन सर। आज हमारे व्यूअर्स ने आपके बारे में और जाना, आपके व्यूज़ को लोगों ने जाना कि ग्लोबल डिफरेंट कॉन्टिनेंट्स में वर्क एनवायरनमेंट कैसा है, टेक्नोलॉजिकल डिफरेंसेस क्या हैं और इंडिया का फ्यूचर पल्प एंड पेपर इंडस्ट्री का क्या। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर दिस इंसाइटफुल डिस्कशन सर। थैंक यू फॉर कमिंग।
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jarvi. Thank you.